Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning over there.
So bored last night.
Really? I thought the Cowboys were 1-0. They are 1-0 on Hard Knocks. They showed you every reason why they are going to win the NFC least this year.
What are they right now in the preseason?
Well, they're
I hate to admit it, Shannon, I was going to say bored too. I don't know. I just wasn't, there wasn't a lot there.
Well, I'm not going to be bored when I get to talk about it in about 15 or 20 minutes
right,
here.
I promise you guys, the Cowboys made their Hard Knocks debut. We will be all over it, but we have to start with the latest surrounding Shannon's team, the Lakers, because during his introductory press conference yesterday, Russell Westbrook said he understands his new role playing alongside LeBron and the Lakers. Russ said he knows his job is to make LeBron's game easier for him, adding, quote, "LeBron is one of the best players to play this game, and his ability to do everything on the floor allows me to just figure it out. There's many different ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hand." So, Shannon, did Westbrook convince you this will work?
Skip, I don't know how you look at it, but I look at press conferences when an individual does a press conference. I look at it like someone meeting the in-laws for the very first time. Everybody's on their best behavior. They say all the great things. Oh, I've heard so many great things about you. Oh, I just couldn't wait to meet you. Oh, wow, you're so great. You've raised a wonderful child. You say all the right things. How many times does someone go to I'm going to be me. I'm going to play exactly in L.A. the way I played in OKC, exactly the way I played with the Washington Wizards. Did you expect him to say that? Now, I sincerely believe that Russell Westbrook always wanted to play for his hometown team. I sincerely believe that, Skip.
No doubt.
I believe he wanted to be close to his family. We know what type of family man, how he loves his friends. He keeps those guys close to him. I believe all those things. But, Skip, Russ has never been a third option. Russ has only been 1A at worst. At worst.
Yep.
You talked about all the time how the conflict was KD and Russ was like, I'm equal too. So therefore I should shoot as much from the same places that KD is allowed to shoot from.
Yep.
So for me, Skip, I know it sounds good to say, you know what, LeBron is one of the all-time greats. He can do some of everything. And so it's my job to figure it out. But, man, that's a lot easier said than done when you've only played one style of basketball basically your entire NBA career. Now, I'm anxious to see. Now, that might work game 5. That might work. But I'm going to check back game 35, game 45 and still see if everybody feels the exact same way.
Okay.
It's going to be very interesting to see Russell Westbrook plays some other way other than the way that made him what he is. That's hard to change when you become this figure that we know and love, Mr. Triple-Double, an MVP, a stat king, a stat machine.
Yep.
Man, the Joe got more triple-double than a Costco receipt. And you know how long a Costco receipt is, Skip?
I don't, but
you
go
ain't
ahead.
never been to Costco?
I've not been to Costco. Okay. Sorry. Have you?
I have been to Costco. I got to go.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it is.
You're way ahead of me.
But, Skip, the question is, can Russ live without taking those bad shots? And that's the thing that you're going to have to, that's what the Lakers are going to have to live. Because he's going to jack up some threes. He's like, Russ, we didn't need that. He's going to turn the ball over. He's like, Russ, come on. Slow it down, Russ. The question is, are the Lakers going to be able to live with that if Russ turns the ball over at a high clip like he normally does, if he starts living with some of those bad shots like we've seen him done? But I believe Russ is happy to be home. I believe he always wanted to play for his hometown team. All that other stuff, Skip, I'm going to take the approach. I'm going to wait and see.
Aha. Yet and still, the man sitting across from me, Shannon Sharpe, Shannon Sharpe, told me on Monday upon our return from vacation that the Lakers are better than they were last year. How can you justify it after what you just told me?
But Skip, I mean, he's a better player. He's a better player than all the guys that they got rid of. So just by him...
Are you sure he's a more effective player in this system than Schroeder was?
Yeah.
Are you sure of that?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Dennis Schroder in just a minute. It came to this for Dennis Schroder.
I think everybody told you what they thought of Dennis Schroder.
Okay, but the Lakers told you what they thought because they did offer him 4 years at $84 million. He just had to accept 1 year at 5.9. Are you sure that Schroeder wasn't a better fit than Russell Westbrook?
Sometimes the best deals are the deals
ones
you don't make.
Well, in this case, that better be the case, although you're actually making the case in everything you just said about his opening remarks that it's not the case.
No,
you don't trust any of this.
No, Skip, I got to see. I got to see. I can't.
But you've been seeing for these 13 years of Russell Westbrook. You know exactly what he is and what he is not. And now he is yours. Now he is LeBron.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so you're trying to say, well, I think maybe. There's no maybe here. You know after 13 NBA seasons exactly what he is not.
So you saying Bron can't have no calming effect? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
If anybody could make this work, I believe LeBron could. And in the end, even LeBron will throw up his hands and say, I'm sorry, this is a disaster. This was a mistake. That's what will happen ultimately.
But you do realize that LeBron knows that this has to work because the reports came out that the Lakers front office brass wanted Buddy Hield, but LeBron and AD wanted Russell Westbrook. So if this does not work out, who lap is they going to put this in?
Well, I still say that Russell's reputation is so bad around the league, just among fans. Let's just do fans, because everybody knows what he's not. Everybody loves to watch him. He's TD, triple-double, right? He's Mr. Touchdown, as in triple-double. He is must-see TV. I've never seen anybody play harder on offense than Russell Westbrook does every dribble. So we all get that. But he is a solo act. And all of a sudden, when you put him with LeBron James, the ultimate distributor, it's fire and water. It does not blend. It does not work.
Right.
Okay, and I think even you know that. But in the end, everybody knows that to the point that he's going to become the ultimate scapegoat. If you think Dennis Schroder was a scapegoat for LeBron last year, this is times 100.
Dennis Schroder scapegoat. The numbers speak for themselves. The numbers speak. Dennis Schroder's numbers speak for themselves. He don't need a scapegoat. You took that anomaly season that he had at OKC and you tried to make that his whole career. That was an anomaly season. You know that, I know that, and the rest of the league seemingly know that. That's why he was only able to sign a 1 year, $5.9 million deal. Skip, but at the end of the day, if LeBron James can't make it work, I don't know if it's going to be able to work. But I do believe...
Okay, well, just let's remind everybody, Kevin Durant could not make it work after 8 years. He said no. James Harden tried 1 year and said no. Paul George tried 2 years, and when he got his escape hatch, he leaped right through it to get out.
Russ should have recommended he leave after the first year, after he gave him 5 points in Utah. That's what Russ should have told Sam Presti to get him up out of here then.
Well, despite Russ's solo act at Utah, they still got wiped out.
Russ had 44.
Okay, all right, here we go. This whole media session had so many SMHs in it, and I make them all caps SMH, that I don't even know where to start because I was shaking my head again and again and again. I got sheets of quotes here.
You got a bunch of sheets, more sheets than I've ever seen.
Than you've ever seen, because I don't know where to start. So I'll start with this quote.
Okay.
This is Russell Westbrook, yesterday in his introductory remarks. He says, I always want to stay true to who I am, but with that, making sure I'm willing to listen and be all ears. Those are two very conflicting statements back to back from Russell Westbrook, who can turn into Russell Westbrook, as you know.
Correct.
So to me, Russ is the classic basketball player with the little devil on one shoulder and the little angel on the other, because some of his instincts are good. And I do think that LeBron and AD like him off the floor at this moment. They might not like him in 6 months from now or 8 months from now, but right now they think he's a pretty good dude. That's what they think. So Russ often gives in to the little devil on the left shoulder who says, hey, you got to stay true to who you are, because who he is put your head down and drive it. right?
Yes.
Or go up and shoot it because you are the man. That's what he thinks, which leads to my second point. He went on and on about Kobe Bryant and how close they became, and it came across to me that he believes he was much closer to Kobe than LeBron ever was close to Kobe.
I wouldn't doubt that.
And his point was, and Rob Pelinka reinforced this, and obviously Rob was the agent for Kobe Bryant for many years, so was very close to the situation, that Kobe blessed Russ because he did have Mamba mentality in Kobe's view.
Right.
Now, again, this is offensive Mamba mentality. Right. It's not defensive. Right. But on offense, nobody's ever played harder than Russ has, especially rebounding the basketball, right? As a 6'3" guard.
You're absolutely right. And I do believe that Russ was probably close. There are a lot of guys that were probably closer to LeBron. I'm not saying that they didn't have a great relationship.
Closer to Kobe,
closer to Kobe than LeBron.
Yes.
But the problem that I have with people is that people have revisionist history because what they see with Russell Westbrook, that was Kobe. Kobe was the guy that would come down and jack up bad shot after bad shot after bad shot.
That's fair.
And fans would kill him. He became so much more beloved outside of L.A. because he was always beloved in L.A. Yep. But he became so much more beloved outside of L.A. at once his passing. But people used to kill Kobe. Go back and look at the timeline. Okay. Go back and look at it on social media and everything that was said. Kobe, Russell Westbrook was just like Kobe on the offensive end. Bad shot after bad shot. What did Michael Jordan say in the last dance, Skip? Don't pass that boy to that little Bryant boy.
Well, that was when he was just a kid.
But that's what I'm saying. Right, because everybody shoot. What did Shaq? Him and Shaq fell out. Shoot.
Correct.
So now all of a sudden,
I got it. Okay.
The Mamba mentality is great now.
Yet the kinship was deeper between Russ and Kobe than LeBron and Kobe.
I think because Russ grew up watching Kobe. He played for his favorite team, and they got close, yes.
And Russ talked yesterday, went on and on about how surreal it is for him to be back in L.A. because he grew up, as he says, watching the parades. I was trying to miss school so I could go to the parades. Okay, so it's deep in his heart in ways that it'll never be deep in LeBron's heart to be a Los Angeles Laker. Right. As great as LeBron looks in 23 purple and gold, I give you that. LeBron was born to be a Laker, to be in Hollywood. I give you that. But Russ actually grew up a Laker fan. Right. So my point is, Russ is going to step on the floor in purple and gold and say, I own this team. This is me. This is who I am, in ways that LeBron and AD can never even fathom how deep it runs in the heart of Russell Westbrook to actually wind up his career as a Laker.
Skip, how old is Russ? I don't know.
32?
32? Hell, I don't believe Russ was alive when they was winning championship with the Showtime Lakers.
Not the Showtime, but the Kobe Lakers.
Skip, the Kobe Lakers. Well, yeah, the Kobe Lakers. So he meant the 2000, 99, 2000, 2001. But, But, Skip, look, it's easy to want to play for your hometown team when they're the Lakers. Or your hometown team is the Boston Celtics. Okay. But everybody doesn't want to play for their hometown team because they don't have that aura, that mystique.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so now we go to the next set of quotes. And we got Russell Westbrook saying that LeBron is one of the best ever to play this game, obviously. And he's saying that his ability to kind of do everything on the floor allows me to be able to figure out where I fit in with all of the above. Right. Really? Are you sure about that? That's what he said, but you're not buying it and I'm not buying it. Because it just doesn't make sense, because Russ only knows one speed and one gear, one way to attack. He is in attack mode every second of the night. So in the end, he says, there are many ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands. I've been able to do that for many years. I will figure it out. Time out. What are you talking about?
You always had the ball in your hand,
Okay,
Russ.
So in usage rate, Russell Westbrook, in the last 11 seasons that he's played, in 8 of those seasons, he was 1 or 2 in usage rate. 4 times he led the whole NBA in usage rate, and 4 other times he was second in the whole NBA in usage rate. Right? Okay, that's 8 of the last 11 seasons. He's just had the ball in his hands as much as anybody. Yet he's saying there are many ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands. Baloney. I'm sorry. It's not it's not how he's built. You can't, and Vogel's saying, we all have to sacrifice. No, he is who he is. And that first quote, I always want to stay true to who I am. He will stay. In the end, he will be true to Russell Westbrook.
Skip, there are very few guys that's ever played this game that can impact the game without having the ball in their hand.
Very few.
You talk about
Agreed.
a guy like Dennis Rodman.
I agree.
Could impact the game.
I
and he
totally
didn't even
agree.
need to. He might have 25 rebounds with 0 points and 0 shot attempts.
And one reason I love, I'm going to say it one more time, Kevin Durant so much, best player on the planet, is because he can be so effective scoring the basketball on so few shots.
Yes.
It's just hard to fathom. It's hard to get it through your head how few times he needs to touch the ball and still get you 30 points.
That's correct.
Right?
That is correct.
Okay. Now we go to Frank Vogel's quote. He is saying that what I love the most about our group, and he's calling the group Bron, AD, and Russ. What I love the most about our group is they're all about make the right play kind of players.
Right.
Make the right play? What is Russ's biggest problem in key moments of big games? Not making the right play. Taking the wrong shot.
Be it wrong or right.
Right? He's wildly out of control going to the basket, or he's jacking up threes. And I'm going to remind everybody, since Russ stepped on an NBA floor in all the 13 years that he's played, he has been simply the worst high-volume three-point shooter in the entire league. This is what you're going to have to cope with.
But, Skip, I would like to think, before this transaction went down, AD, LeBron, and Russ got together. They had a conversation.
It was reported that they did have conversations. So I don't know if they actually got together.
No, Skip, no. This ain't no Skip. This is not something we can discuss over the phone. I need to see you face to face. I need to see your body.
You were right about that, but I don't know that actually
Skip, I'm
happened.
going to need to see when I say, bro.
Although, wasn't it reported? Did they go to LeBron's house? I think they did. Yeah. I think I read that.
Because last year, they were at LeBron's house. They were smoking cigars, and they was having a good time.
Yep.
But Skip, I think this is something that we got to sit down and we got to have a conversation about the sacrifices. LeBron's going to say, LeBron's like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to have the ball in my hand all the time, and I might not score 25. That might come down to 23, 22. AD's like, okay, I'm going to need my AD. I think their offense needs to run through AD. That's me personally. But Russ is going to have to understand, you're not a solo act anymore. You are a solo act in a great group now.
Okay. All right. So make the right play players, says Frank Vogel.
Yes.
Well, obviously LeBron is make the right play.
That's sometimes to his fault. Everybody says.
Anthony Davis is make the right play kind of player.
Right.
I give you that. Russell Westbrook 4 times has led this league in turnovers, and 4 more times has been second in this league in turnovers. That's all you need to know. That's not making the right play. That's making way too many wrong plays.
Yes,
right?
sometimes, a lot of times, it's forced, Skip. I mean, he gets ahead and he gets up in the air and it's like, okay, I can't lay it up. Let me try to pass it up to somebody else. They're not ready for it. The ball goes out of bounds or it gets stolen. But, Skip, for me, this is not, look, and when it first started, when I first was like, man, this is not a thing. And I still don't believe it is a natural fit. I still don't believe it's the greatest of, like, the smoothest of fits, like Kevin Durant going to Golden State. That's a great fit.
It was.
Because the ball moves so much, nobody has the ball any length of time.
If you want to know the truth, Kevin Durant is a great fit wherever he goes. It's just easy for him to blend right in because he's not going to demand the basketball.
AD was a great fit for LeBron.
He was. I completely concur.
But when you take a guy, because AD is not going to have the ball, I got to get him the ball. So my job is to get him the ball in the right spot. Well, Russ can take the ball, can get the ball from one end of the court. Russ will grab the rebound.
Okay.
All right, y'all meet me at the other end or I'm going by myself. So that's the question, Skip. How does a guy that's so used, as you mentioned, the high usage rate, a guy that's used to having the ball that much, all of a sudden, when I've been 1-8 at worst, all of a sudden says, you know what? I'm cool with being the third option. Remember, they tried to get Carmelo. Carmelo had to miss half the season for him to come to the realization, damn, I'm not Nuggets Melo. I'm not Knicks Melo. They view me as a different Melo.
Correct.
How will Russ view that?
Okay. Which brings me to my final quote from Rob Pelinka, former player agent, now the GM.
He was Kobe's agent.
Yeah, Kobe's
agent. He was a lot of guys' agents.
A lot of agents. Okay. I'm gonna read a longer quote from him, and I think we're gonna put it up for you to follow along here. But he's talking about Russ here, and he says, he's one of the most liked, respected, and beloved players in the league by players he played with.
I agree with that.
He's an incredible leader. When you talk to teammates from the other storied franchises he played for, to a man, says Rob Pelinka, the input you get is he is one of the greatest teammates that player ever played with. That speaks to his character and his leadership. Those are qualities that are incredibly important to our team, says Rob Pelinka. I'm sorry, I don't believe it when it comes, number one, to Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I just don't believe that at this moment, Kevin loves and respects Russ. In some ways he does. But remember, he chose to leave because I know for a fact he finally said, I can't win with him as my primary decision maker, as my ball handler, my point guard. And remember what happened? Remember that game on February 11th of 2017? It was the first time they met, Russ still in Oklahoma City, Kevin in Golden State, and it was at Oklahoma City, and Golden State won 130 to 114, and KD had 34-9, but Russ went off and had 47. He had 47 that night.
And that's when they was barking at each other. I'm coming.
They were after each other, and it looked like they wanted to kill each other. Mostly Russ wanted to kill Kevin. And remember what happened when Kevin played his first finals game for Golden State, game number 1? Do you remember this? What did Russ do? He posted that he was watching Sister Act 2, not Sister Act 1, Sister Act 2. He's watching that just to make the point, I have no use for what he's doing with the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
I just don't know if that's being beloved. I'm not sure about
Skip,
that.
I think that, okay, let's take if Kevin Durant might feel a certain way, but it's hard for us to ignore that I believe that there are more teammates that love Russ and admire and respects how hard he plays and knows that he gives you.
I get that part of it. But in the end, I guess my point is, did they love playing with Russ? They might love him and respect his game and how hard he plays. Yeah. But did Kevin love playing with Russ? I say no. Did James ultimately, and they were childhood friends, AAU friends, did James love playing with Russ? I'm going to say no.
But James had some issues that Russ didn't like also.
Okay, I got it. And you're right about that. Did Paul George, again, a Southern California kid, just like Russ, did he love playing with Russ in Oklahoma City? In the end, I don't believe he loved playing with him.
Guess what Russ did for Paul George? Got him third in the MVP voting.
Okay.
He scored more points than any point in time ever.
Okay, but this is a little over the top to say he's one of the most liked, respected, and beloved players.
I believe he is one of the most liked and respected.
Is he really an incredible leader of a basketball team? Does he really know how to push all the right buttons to get everybody involved and win championships?
Skip, I haven't seen that. Skip, you do realize the year that Kevin Durant left, Russ was the MVP. He averaged a triple-double. He got that team to the 4th seed. That's worth something, right? That's got to mean something, Skip.
Solo act. And he might be the greatest solo act in the history of this league. Seriously. Because I didn't think anybody could ever average a triple-double after Oscar did back in, what was it,
61, 62.
62 is when he finished, that triple-double season. Okay, I didn't think it was possible, and all this man has done is 4 out of 5 years. It's impossibly great. Solo great. Does that contribute to winning a championship? Well, we're about to find out, and I'm a big no on it. I will double down, no, especially after I heard all this.
Well, how about this here? Okay, I'll put it to you. I'm going to do it to you like this here, Skip Bayless. We know Jay. Jay is one of the all-time great rappers, and a lot of people, he's their number one. But he could collab. So, hey, Russ going to collab with us. That's how we're going to look at it like that. He's saying he on the hook.
I personally think Wayne is the greatest. He features a lot of people.
Exactly. But I'm just saying, so Wayne is a solo act. But he's on Drake, he's Nicki Minaj, he's on different. We're going to make it work.
Okay, but when they collab, as you say, with others, they are still the star of that show, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's a little different with basketball skill. You got your bars, I got mine. They're on the one ball.
Wayne is still the guy, right? We know that. We know that about him. This is going to be interesting how it plays out.
No mercy.
Well, we caught our first glimpse of this year's Dallas Cowboys squad in last night's first episode of Hard Knocks. And as expected, Dak and Zeke were front and center, and we saw their genuine friendship and some interesting rapping skills as well. We also got to see Dak's return to the practice field and his reaction to receiving fewer reps. We also saw some Jerry Jones, Mike McCarthy, and reactions to rookie Micah Parsons. So, Shannon, your thoughts? What was your biggest takeaway?
I'm not totally convinced, Skip, that this season's going to be any different than the previous two. I just, maybe I wish they would show like more. I wish they, because Skip, you remember Mike McCarthy said like, man, everybody's really quiet. It's going to be the pad day. I want to hear somebody fire
first day in
pad.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a tiring time, Skip, because the way Mike Shannon, my previous coach in Denver, Skip, it was always the third day. Okay, now you really, really sore. So you really got to get your mind prepared to thud it up.
Yeah. He was talking about the calm before the storm. Yeah.
Skip, I want to hear somebody getting it up. Let's go. Let's fire it up.
Okay, but that was you.
Yeah.
That's what you provided.
Okay, well, who there for the Cowboys?
Maybe there's not anybody yet. Just yet. So I'll get to my answer.
Okay,
yeah.
But so for me, Skip, I'm not convinced. Maybe as we progress, we'll see more of the guys play. We'll see what they look like in the preseason game.
Yeah.
And so we'll get a better sense of what they have, because I don't think any of the starters played any in the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game. But Skip, I just want to see more. I don't know. Maybe it's a different time. Maybe the guys. I just came from an era where guys were getting fired up in training camp, because you had to do that, maybe because they don't need to be fired up. They're only practicing once a day. But, Skip, it was a grind. You know what it was like to be out there 2.5, 3 hours, twice a day, hitting. Ain't no walk through. What? Pads. Full pads. Full tape to the ground. So you got to get somebody had to get us going. I want to see that for the Cowboys. I want to see that fire. I want to see that passion. Somebody on the defense, on the offensive line, take the offense or defensive side of the football, take the Bulls by the horn and says, let's go. Because your coach, you're going to talk about the coach.
Oh, are we? Okay. I have a whole lot to say about what I saw and did not see last night on Hard Knocks. Number one, biggest takeaway. You predicted that Jerry would dominate Hard Knocks. He did not dominate episode 1. Maybe he'll dominate other episodes, but episode 1, he was just another player.
Yeah.
I'm talking about playing a part.
He definitely did not. He did not feature as much as I thought he would.
Okay. But when he was featured, we got to see Jerry operate as the GM of the team. He is the GM. He is on the phone with the trainer. Oh, well, what's going on?
But, Skip, you know good well owners don't do that. Owners don't call the trainer.
Okay, but he is still operating as the owner and operator of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
And you got to see him in action.
Yes.
Question to Mike McCarthy. How's Dak? He doesn't call him Dak. He calls him Prescott.
Yeah.
How's Prescott's arm? What do you think? And the problem when I watched Jerry, and I've been around Jerry in those situations many times before. He's still not fluent in football. It's like he still doesn't quite get it. He can't speak it very well. No. It's always a little awkward and a little off kilter, right? Like it doesn't come across as convincing, right?
Right.
As he's the GM of the team. He's not cool with the way he's expressing himself. Right. And then weirdly, it shows him he's got some little hamburger, or was it a breakfast?
That's a breakfast sandwich. Did he put salt on?
He's putting salt on it. And I'm saying, Jerry, if you want to last much longer, he's always talking about his mortality. Maybe you shouldn't salt that thing.
What is Jerry, 78, 79? Yeah. He's like, man, I'm going to go out and be happy.
I don't care. I'm just going to eat whatever I want to eat, and I'm going to salt away, right?
I think it's plenty salty enough, because it looked like it was sausage.
I think it was. Okay, so that's the Jerry part of it.
Right.
But I told you yesterday, I predicted this, and I'm giving you credit because you predicted before the draft the best defensive player in the draft is Micah Parsons, said Shannon Sharpe, the Hall of Famer. And you just might be right. Again, I thought Patrick Surtain Jr., son of a great cornerback in the NFL, I thought he was the perfect fit opposite the other Alabama cornerback that we have, that he would be the bookend corner, and here we would be set for the next 10 years at cornerback.
Right.
And your Denver Broncos stole him right ahead of us, and he will be a bona fide star for your Broncos.
He's looked good in camp there.
He has. Okay, he's just a stud. But listen, Micah Parsons, he is going to be the breakout star on and off the field. And when you talk about somebody out there to get him up, he was getting the rookies up before pad day, before the first pad day. But he's not a veteran yet, so he doesn't have any respect.
Yeah, he doesn't carry the cachet.
Not yet.
Because he's a rookie.
Not yet. But they show him sitting next to Leighton Vander Esch on the bench, and Leighton's a little threatened by him because he turns to, I'm paraphrasing now, it came off, but he said, you're trying to make every play out there in the Hall of Fame game. You're trying to make every play out there. You should just make the ones that are yours.
Right.
He's trying to tell him, hey, Rook, stay in your lane out there.
Well, Skip, I think the thing also is that sometimes when you try to make all the plays, you run yourself out of position.
Okay, which he did in practice once, and then Dan Quinn was getting on him during the game on the phone.
You got to get wider.
Okay, you got to get wider. He's just freelancing. And he admits it. It's just see ball, chase ball.
Right.
But all of his gambling will pay off because I promise you, I'm on record. I'm going to predict this. Micah Parsons will be the biggest reason they win the NFC East this year. I'm not predicting any more than that, but they will be a playoff team because they will win the division because they will be much improved on defense starting with number 11, a rookie, because they don't have that. They've never had that. It's been years since they had somebody who will fly around and make plays like that.
Skip, his talent is undeniable. When you look and you see the things that he can do, you're not to be that big, that fast, and he's sudden. He's sudden. Now, Skip, he's gonna make some mistakes because he's a rookie.
Yeah, and they're going to take advantage of his over-aggressiveness.
Exactly.
And his gambling.
Exactly. It's just like, Skip, you saw the one-on-one. What did the fullback do? Hit him with an out and up because he know, I'm going to get this play, I'm going to make this play.
And he just turned to him and said, good route. Okay, all right, because you got me. You got me. But I loved his nature with the way he was interacting with his rookie teammates because they're starting to follow him. And you could hear it's the first practice, and you could hear somebody yell out, holy bleep. He is fast, right? Yeah. That man is fast.
Oh, you can tell.
He's flying. And all you need to do, it's a weird number to pick. He said he wanted number 1, but Cedric Wilson had it. He said, I could have had number 1. Yeah. But he's number 1-1, number 11. It's kind of a weird number for that position, but I'll take it. Right? So he's going to be the breakout star on and off the field, and I think he's going to dominate the next 3 episodes of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, and Skip, I think the thing is for when you watch him, you can tell that he has natural leadership skills.
He does.
He just happens to be a rookie, so he's not going to be he's not going to be in that role just yet.
Right.
But I also, Skip, I think for me is that going back and looking at training camp, and a lot of things when I'm watching these, it reminds me because I remember my first 3 or 4 years in Denver, Skip. That's what we had to get to practice. We had bicycles. And as a rookie, I didn't know anything about that until I got there, but I didn't have enough money to go buy no bike anyway. So I would just steal the vet's bike. Just like Zeke stole Dak's bike, I would steal the vet's bike, but it would cause some conflict. Bro would want to fight you about stealing their bike.
Well, is it really their bike, or did they just sort of take ownership of it? Isn't it like a camp bike?
They're the camp bikes, but guys, when I was in Denver, they actually purchased bikes and actually ride because only Dan Reeves and John Elway had golf carts. Now later, once Mike Shanahan got there, he saw the problem that it was causing with the bicycles, guys stealing the bicycle, taking your chain off or stealing your tire. So what good is a bicycle with one tire, Skip? You can't go nowhere with it. So Mike says, to cut down confusion and fights, everybody's just going to be able to get rides on the golf carts.
And obviously, after a 2.5-hour practice in the sun, it's a little bit of a walk to the door.
Yeah. And Skip, you already made. You're like, okay, I just want to get on my bike, go, and your bike's gone. So you can see the problem, Skip. You're already on edge. You had 2-hour practice. Maybe you didn't have the best practice. But for me, Skip, did you see anything last night? And I know it's early. Did you see anything that convinced you, like, okay, this team's going to be different?
Just Micah Parsons. That's the only big difference. Because he's a huge difference.
Yeah, he is.
And look, did I enjoy seeing sort of inside the Dak-Zeke friendship? Sure, I did. And we got to see them in action with each other.
When you go buy me a go-yard bag?
I think you got about 12 of them already. Am I right?
I got that very bag.
There you go. Okay, I'm way ahead of you. Okay, and Dak, he is so guarded and so careful in his interviews. At least I got to see him behind the scenes a little bit.
Right.
And I got to see him get frustrated with McCarthy for not letting him have some more practice reps after their metrics had shown in the meeting after the practice before, his metrics were too high. It's 575. I don't know what that means on the GPS, how many steps he'd taken or whatever.
Yeah, they got all that stuff, Skip. Okay. Now they got the stuff in your pads and you know, how many steps did you take and how many miles did you run and how hot did you get.
Right. Okay. So the point was Dak got frustrated. You could hear him muttering some F words at McCarthy.
Right.
But in the end, I'll give McCarthy credit on this. He was right because Dak, who's obviously been out with 2 surgeries, as he acknowledged last night, to his foot and his ankle, that he was overthrowing because he was throwing some rockets in those throwing drills where you have to throw it in the bags, you know?
Right.
He was cutting loose, and it was too much too soon. Right. And so something pulled a lap.
Was he using too much arm? Was the foot still not healthy
maybe
enough
it's
that he
all arm and no body? No trunk?
Right.
I don't know. But the point was, McCarthy and the metrics were showing danger, and they were correct. Okay, so I enjoyed seeing some inside Dak that I'd never seen before.
Correct.
Okay, that leads to the one maybe for some uncomfortable scene, but it was the Fossil scene, and you grew up with young Fossil because he was the son of
his dad was my offensive coordinator, Jeff Fossil, who passed away.
And Bones Fossil is obviously the special teams coach and sort of the character coach.
I think he's assistant head coach, isn't he?
He may be, but he's he's the character among the coaches because he's a little wacky, a little screwballish, and he'll gamble and do some things. A couple decisions he made last year, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Okay, so all of a sudden they cut in, and we got a scene that makes Hard Knocks Hard Knocks. We got him discussing his vasectomy and vasectomy reversal.
Right.
And he's breaking it down for the special teams meeting, and they're all on the edge of their seats because they're kind of interested.
But when the narrator says this is the hard part about camp, the cuts. So I'm thinking about okay, he's going to talk about, guys.
There was a little pun into it.
Right, Skip. So, I'm thinking, okay, he's going to explain to him, look, there going to be some,
Right, I did too. I was throwing a curveball.
And then I'm looking are they really, is that really what would...
That's really what he's talking about, but that is real life. And trust me, those kinds of conversations go on in meeting rooms, in camps all around the league, but we never get to see them. We're not privy until the Hard Knocks camera is in there.
Right.
And I think Bones Fossil is a little bit of a showman, so he kind of knew he was on camera, and so he enjoyed getting into this discussion.
Explaining it to him.
Because it is a real life discussion.
Correct.
And again, a little uncomfortable to talk about or maybe even to watch, but it was intriguing because that makes that show that show, right? That's what you get to see that you would never get to see on any other show because it had absolutely nothing to do with football, right? The other thing that hits me, and maybe every team is like this, feel free to comment, but I have never heard so many F words in my life as my team, especially the new coordinator, Dan Quinn. It's like he cannot express himself with every form of the F word in every sentence has 3 forms. It can go adjective, noun, verb, just name it, and he's going to intersperse every other word for emphasis as if I can't communicate to these younger players. I can't get their attention without using this word every other word, right?
Yeah, that's how it is, Skip.
Okay.
Man, hey, man, what you mofos doing tonight?
Yeah.
Man, what time is that mofo meeting?
Yeah.
Well, so Skip, I mean, end this, end that. Man, y'all,
Okay.
So,
but the F word is just the word. Like you can't, you cannot communicate without using that word.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying I mind it, but after a while, I never heard so many.
Yeah, that's the way. Man, you try to be mindful because there are some people that are religious, like Randall. I played my last year with Randall Cunningham, and so you try to be mindful of him because he was very religious, and you try to be respectful. But as soon as he's out of earshot,
boom.
You know what it is. But Skip, I would like to what you saw with Parsons and the fullback. That's how it was because we're chirping, knowing that we're gonna have one-on-one blocking, pass catching. So we talking trash. Offense is trying to beat the defense. The defense talking about we whipped y'all. You know what? Yesterday, y'all not gonna get anything. Now. It was a whole different story in Baltimore because I was just trying not to get shut out in 2000. Because that 2000 Ravens defense, you saw what it was against everybody else.
I wouldn't want to practice against it, I can tell you that.
So we went up against that every day in practice. So I was like, come on, guys. I know they good, but damn. They're making us looking like high schoolers.
But it's hard for you to taunt that defense because you're not going to get any occasion.
Oh, I said we get a first down. That's a taunt. That's worthy of a taunt, Skip.
Yeah.
You got to understand what we were going to get.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I would really like for Hard Knocks to focus on. Show more of the interaction. If you remember our Skip, they were showing guys getting tape and guys joking around because there's a lot of that. Because it's a grind. It really is a grind mentally to get up every day and knowing that somebody's dream is not going to get fulfilled.
Well, we're about to see that in episodes 2 and 3.
Yes.
See the literal cuts.
Yes.
Yep.
Not the other cuts.
That part is always hard to watch. Okay, well, it was a good first episode. We'll give it that, and we will definitely be watching. I want to transition here, guys. The top 2 NBA draft picks, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green, faced off in last night's Summer League matchup between the Rockets and Pistons. Green, the number 2 pick, posted a 25.5 rebound performance in the win, while Cunningham finished with 20 points and 3 steals. So, Shannon, who won the individual battle here?
Well, Skip, Jalen Green had an outstanding performance, and his team won, so I would have to give the edge to him. But both of these guys were extremely impressive last night. The thing that I found most impressive about Jalen Green, he attempted 11 free throws, Skip. And he got range. He got bounce. He's athletic. And I understand that him saying I should have been a number 1 pick. But Cade Cunningham showed me some things, Skip. The way he was shooting the 3, and he's a heck of an on-ball defender because he was just swiping it. Mm-hmm. So I was impressed with both of the guys. But to answer Jenny's question, I'm going to give the edge to Green because, man, I think Houston got something. Houston, I mean, they were forced because I'm not so sure, Skip, if Cade Cunningham was there, they wouldn't have taken him. But maybe their hands were tied, kind of like Chicago, Skip. Chicago's hands were tied because Olajuwon and Bowie were gone. So basically you got Charles Barkley and you got Michael Jordan. So it was like, okay, Rod Thorne says, okay, I'll take the kid from North Carolina. Yep. Well, you kind of hands tied. You got Jalen Green, but I don't think the Rockets are going to be disappointed that he landed in their laps. Skip, he looks. I understand that it's summer league and I understand it's early, but he looks like he's the real deal. The way he can put the ball in the basket, the athleticism that he displayed, and the aggressiveness. Skip, we don't normally see rookies get to the free throw line 11 times. So I'm going to give the edge to Jalen Green, but I thought both guys were impressive. Both guys played about the same amount of minutes. Green was plus 17, plus or minus 6 of 11. That's extremely efficient, Skip. 3 of 5 from 3. 10 for 11 from the free throw line. I mean, hey, check. He did have 4 turnovers. But, hey, if you're going to give me those kind of numbers, 25, 5, and 3, okay, I'm good with it, bro.
I got you. We did a topic at the end of Monday's show on the fly in like 30 seconds.
Right.
And I told you, I just have a sneaking suspicion that Jalen Green is going to prove to this league he should have gone number 1. And that's to take nothing away from Cade Cunningham because clearly Cade is the better all-around basketball player. He's more of a floor general. He can do it all. Right. He can literally do it all. But I watched Cade Cunningham a whole lot at Oklahoma State last year, a whole lot. I watched both of his NCAA games against Liberty and Oregon State. Won the first one, lost the second one. He really struggled in those 2 playoff caliber, playoff games. I'm not completely sold on him as the number 1 overall as an explosive athlete. Once you get against bigger, more athletic defenders, he may have a little harder time because he doesn't have supreme quickness.
No.
This other kid, Jalen Green, he is Schroeder quick because the one thing you can't take away from Dennis Schroder, he is lightning quick, right?
Yes.
So is Jalen Green at 6 feet 6 inches tall.
Right.
He plays so fast that sometimes he plays too fast. And at the first of the game, he said at his halftime interview, I was just playing a little too fast. He's a little too amped up.
Right.
But he is so lightning quick coming off picks, and he gets his shot up so quick.
You know who his athleticism reminds you of, Skip? He reminds you of a young, skinny Tracy McGrady.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying he's going to be Tracy McGrady because before Tracy McGrady had those knee issues, T-Mac was like that. But this kid, he has that kind of athleticism.
You just can't defend it.
No.
Because he goes up so quick and shoots it so high. And he's sweet, man. He's got sweet touch range. And to your point, when you only get 11 shots up, remember, he's playing without a point guard right now. Let's let him get with the Rockets. Let's see what happens if you can run some plays for him and get him more shots. He takes 11 shots and scored 25, and Cade takes 18 shots and scores 20. Right. Well, I'm going to give a slight advantage to Jalen, even though Cade, especially in the first half when they were matched up one-on-one, Cade got him 2 or 3 times. And he got him on a fast break where he just powered right through him and then dunked it off. So, again, I'm taking nothing away from Cade. But listen, Jalen Green made the decision to go straight from high school to that G League team. And I think it benefited him because he looked like he was a little more advanced maybe than Cade was at the summer league level because he's been playing with pros.
You're exactly right, Skip. I was very impressed. Well, I mean, It's not to say I wasn't impressed with Cade Cunningham, but you can see why he went number one, because he's the more complete, Skip. The way he can play defense.
I got it.
His 3-point range, Skip, and I know he shot 40%, but it looked smooth last night. It looked effortless last night.
He shot 40% from the college.
Yes, from the college.
Yeah.
And so we know that's a little closer, but I didn't expect him. I mean, he coming down between his legs, step back, behind the three. I'm like, okay. You got that in your bag, bro?
No, he's got it in his bag. Jalen Green has a whole lot of stuff in his bag. Enough stuff that I would predict at some point down the road he can lead this league in scoring.
Yeah.
And especially if the Rockets aren't very good and they feature him, he may...
Well, with him and Christian Wood, that should be a nice little combo.
I agree. And listen, I hope I can pronounce his name right. I think it's Shingun, the kid from Turkey that was playing for Houston last night, it was their second first-round pick. He's 6'10", and he is fearless. He's the one talking to the ball. It's like offering up a prayer to the basketball before he shoots it, and he's going to get called on the 10-second rule maybe, but he is a player. You could just see him in the summer. I've watched him twice now, and I say, that kid can play. Right. So all of a sudden, Rockets basketball looks like it's going to be back on the map post-James, obviously, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to... And I didn't think they were going to be overcome. But this kid, Skip, like I said, it looks like he has the makers to being something special. And normally when you give up a talent like James Harden, you suffer for a minute or two. But they might not suffer as long as some of the other teams.
Well, at least they're going to be fun to watch. I'm not saying they're going to
they ain't going to win no playoffs. Ain't nobody talking about that.
All right.
But like you said, it'd be something to watch.
The other thing I like about Jalen Green, he has not backed off saying Detroit made a mistake. Every interview chance he gets, he says, I still got that chip on my shoulder. And off the floor, when he dresses, he's got huge style.
Right.
So I like his makeup.
And they were going at each other, Skip.
Were they?
Oh, you think you should have been number one?
Yeah,
let me show you why you weren't number one. Bap, take that with you.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you went number one, but let me show you why I should have gone number one. So I like the going back and forth. Skip, they're linked. You know how that works, Skip. 1 and 2 will always be linked.
Trey and Luka.
It's just the way it is.
Yep. And yet, next year, watch when Detroit plays Houston. I'm going to be watching that game, right?
Sometimes, Skip, you just link together. Bird and Magic. Yeah, not only did they come out in the same draft, now Bird was a pre. You could draft the guy earlier. How would they do? NBA used to do those.
I don't know. They stole Larry Bird is what they did.
Because they drafted him when he was a junior in college, and he went back and finished up his senior year, and they still owned his rights. And so he and Magic came out together. And Lakers, Celtics. It was just the most fierce rivalry in all of basketball. But these two going to be, Skip, I don't know if the Rockets in Detroit is going to turn into the Lakers Celtics, but I do believe that and they'll only play each other twice a year unless, go to championship. But I can't wait to see these two guys play each other.
Ditto.
No mercy, and I won't back down.
Well, Dennis Schroder might be realizing that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. After declining an $84 million extension from the Lakers in March, Schroder has agreed to play for the Celtics for the $5.9 million mid-level exception. The Boston Herald reports that Schroder is, quote, in a state of shock. I am too. Shannon, how surprised are you that it came to this for Dennis Schroder?
He overplayed, Skip. He overplayed the market, and he overplayed his ability. One or two people need to go. Either he needs to fire his agent or he needs to fire himself. But somebody's got to go. Now, this reminds you, Skip, you remember in 2017, Nerlens Noel, the Mavericks offered him 4 years, $70 million. He turned it down, except the qualifying offer of $4 million. He fired his agent, hired Rich Paul. Now, let me tell you what would have happened. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Rich Paul is Dennis Schroder's agent. It wouldn't have been Dennis Schroder turned down $84 million. Rich Paul turned down $84 million. You see how they did that, Skip Bayless? That's what they would have done. Dennis Schroder is that what he didn't realize, Skip, is that his best season was in OKC. He was career highs across the board. Points, field goal percentage, three-point percentage.
That is true.
Dennis Schroder is a career 13-point per game average, shoot 33% from the three. Guess what he shot from the three last year? That's what he shot. Guess what he shot from the field? 43%, which is his career average. But what he was doing was pocket watching everybody else to see what they got. 4 years, $84 million, guaranteed. Remember, he came to us, Skip. Now, he had came up the bench the past 2 years, played great. I'm a starter. I've done the coming off the bench thing. I'm a starter.
What he said when he got to L.A. Yep.
Now look at him. Now everybody talking about, well, maybe he didn't want to play with Braun. Bull jive. He gagged this one. Skip, you hear the term fumbling the bag. He fumbled the suitcase. They lost a whole airplane full of baggage. As a matter of fact, they lost the airplane. I've never seen anything like this, but I fired my agent. Maybe the agent said, Dennis, is a good deal. He says, I want to go out there. But Skip, here's the point. We know Chris Paul, Kyle Lowry, Lonzo Ball, Mike Conley, Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Jackson. Had he had the playoff run Reggie Jackson had, he might have could have got some money. Reggie Jackson played himself because he played on the minimum. Reggie Jackson balled out in the playoffs. Reggie Jackson got, 2 years, 12, 13, $14 million.
He got the veterans, whatever that. Mid-level.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have got that.
Yep.
But you can't put on tape what you put on last year and thought somebody was going to pay you that. Skip, I feel bad for him. But let me tell you this. You're not going to make that up. I don't care what you do. You're not going to make that up. Because even though Nerlens Noel's got a good contract from the Knicks this year, Skip, he could have got that same contract this year while having $70 million already pocketed.
Yep.
He could have got another. He might get, but I don't believe he'll get a $100 million contract, Skip. How he going to be coming off the bench? And guess what? That's Jason Tatum. That's Jaylen Brown's team. So how you going to get opportunities to show that you're going to average 20? You're not going to average 20. I was reading reports they want him to come off the bench and back up Marcus Smart. Now, he might start, but he gagged this one, Skip. He gagged this one.
I cannot disagree, obviously, with your conclusion, because when you walk away from 4 years, $84 million, and you wind up with 1 year, 5.9, I can't defend that, obviously. But I do have some sympathy for him.
How? For what?
He was a victim of LeBron James.
Oh, my goodness.
He got LeBron'd. Well, he did, because he became the focal point of Shannon Sharpe and Laker Nation. Okay, you're on, you got to perform. And the first thing he did wrong was he did not defer to LeBron. His whole body language, his demeanor, his whole approach was, I will not bow down to you. I'm going to be your equal on the floor. Not that he's a better player, but he's going to play an equal role in the offense. And it offended you from day one. Yeah. You could just see his body language was, I'm my own man. I'm not your man. I'm my own man. So I'm not going to genuflect in your presence. I'm not going to kiss your feet. I'm not going to play off you. I'm going to play with you. That was his attitude from day one. And there were nights when he was very good because he has electric quickness.
He does. He does.
There were nights. Okay, so he averaged 19 a game coming off the bench with Chris Paul, obviously, in Oklahoma City, and it fell to 15. It wasn't a dramatic fall, but 19 down to 15, and his 4 rebounds stayed the same, and his assists actually went up with the Lakers from 4 in Oklahoma City to 6. So his line was 15, 4, and 6. But to your point, he shot the ball worse than he did in Oklahoma City when he was career across the board high. And yet he started, I think, 2 games that year in Oklahoma City. He came off the bench and averaged 31 minutes. His minutes per game went up only to 32 minutes a game with the Lakers as a starter. He started 61 games for your team. And yet he's in the crosshairs because if they fail, somebody has to pay for that. There has to be the reason that this team failed, and it's going to be him. It has to be Schröder because his numbers weren't quite what they were in Oklahoma City.
But his numbers were what they were for his career. If you look at his numbers, he's a 43% shooter. He's a 33% three-point shooter. But, Skip, here's the thing. From the jump, and I said this early on, he's playing for a contract. Everybody's seeing it. He's not trying to play to win games. He's trying to play to
he was in the last year. Yes, he was.
And everybody else saw that, too.
Okay, and remember, they didn't acquire him by signing him. They traded for him. It was Danny Green and Jalen McDaniels who wound up in Minnesota. But it was basically Danny Green for Dennis Schroder. And Danny Green was a significant loss for your basketball team. But where Schröder doesn't get enough credit for is on the defensive end because you don't.
Ain't nobody paying for that.
Okay, well, he ranked 29th last year in defensive win shares, which was a career high. For the Lakers, he was 29th in the league, which is pretty good because I think everybody agrees he's one of the better perimeter defenders in the league, right? He will get up in you. He will make you pay all night long. He will make it hard on you. He will irritate and bother you. It's It's just one of those where he's a small man. What do we give him? 6 feet. Is he like that little clipper who gets up in you and irritates you like a little gnat? Yeah. Is he got some Pat Bev? It's sort of like that. But I think he's a little quicker than Pat Bev.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He's a better offensive player than Pat.
He can bother you, and I thought he helped make but they went all the way through the regular season as the number 1 statistical defense in pro basketball.
Right.
You don't think he contributed to that?
He did, Skip. They call him Dennis the Menace.
Yep.
But Skip, as you gauge the market. Early on, you see Chris Paul, 4 years, 120. You see Kyle Lowry with Kyle. You see Lonzo Ball. Mm-hmm. You see Mike Conley. You see Spencer Dinwiddie. Mm-hmm. You see Reggie Jackson. You see D. Rose. You see Patty Mills. You're like, hold on. Hey, what's going on, bro? What's going on?
Okay, but you know what happens around this league because LeBron is the face of this league.
No, put it on LeBron.
Wait a second. I'm not putting it on him. I'm just saying, if you go to LeBron and you fail with LeBron, I know what the league says. They all sit back and say, you couldn't play with that man? So Am I right about that? That's what they say.
Let me ask you a question. You think he was worth $21 million a year? It
was almost 22-ish.
20. Right? It was 4 years, 84.
That's right. Okay. Okay, this is just me. I still think he was a better fit for the Lakers for the entire offense than Russell Westbrook will ultimately be. Is he the player Russ is as a solo act? Well, obviously, he's not even in the ballpark with him. But as a fit, I think in your heart of hearts, you would agree he's a better fit for the Lakers than Russ will be.
He probably was, Skip, but what he didn't, he was a better fit, but he didn't understand his role.
Okay, because he's his own little man.
So now he's his own man in Boston.
Yep.
So you traded $15 million in sunshine 364 days a year to go into cold for $5.9 million.
I'm with you on that. That is very true. Even though I like Boston, but
I don't like the weather.
It's going to snow.
Yeah.
And it is not going to snow here in Los Angeles.
You ain't. And guess what? He gonna have to put that skateboard up come late September, October.
Yep.
He can skateboard year round out here.
Okay, so I thought his biggest failing in L.A. was not trying to ingratiate himself more with LeBron because he was arm's length with LeBron right from the start, and LeBron did not like it. Look, LeBron has earned the right that you need to pay him respect.
No,
right?
look, I don't think it was that, Skip. I just think the thing is that early on, the Lakers saw that Dennis was more concerned about getting his money. Skip, remember, because the first offer, they offered him $17 million, 4 years, $17 million per. They went all the way to $21 per. Mm-hmm. But he talked about, I want to see what free agency is like. Mm-hmm. I want $100 million. Bruh. Everybody always talking about he bet on himself. Okay, these is one of the stories that betting on yourself goes wrong. Okay. These are the stories that they don't highlight. Bruh, take that $84 million. Now, if they skip, it's like, well, he didn't want to play with LeBron. He didn't want to play back up to Russ. They wouldn't have got Russ unless they do a sign and trade and package him for Russ. True. He and Russ was never going to be on the same team with LeBron.
No way. So, in the end, you told me that if LeBron and AD had stayed healthy, you believe the Lakers would have won it all last year.
Yes.
What if Schröder had gotten to go along for that ride? What if he had played at least a small but significant part in a championship run? Mm-hmm. Then you don't think he would have bet on himself and won?
Skip, I still don't know if he would have gotten, Skip, because sometimes they don't value you as much as the team that you're playing for values you. Mm. Because it showed the Lakers, like, we'll give you 21, we'll give you $84 million. It was reported Phoenix offered him $5 million. Mm. He got 5.9 from the Celtics. So maybe the value that was there was for the Lakers and no one else. And that's what you got to be, Skip. I can't base my value on someone else. Okay, what's fair? You gonna give me a fair offer? I'm good. Let's ride with it. Mm. I can't. Well, he got that and he got this. Nah. And I know. And people on my timeline, well, I would sleep real good at night making 5.9. Yes. The average person would sleep good, Skip, because they're not going to make $5.9 million over a lifetime. Mm-hmm. But you got to put it in your terms.
Sure.
Your boss comes to you and says, you know what? I want you to stay. I got $300K for you.
Right.
You're like, nah, I'm good. I'm worth more than $300K. And then you end up having to get a job for $100K. Mm-hmm. You sleeping good at night, say, I feel real good. I turned down $300K to get $100. Yep. No. So how you think he feeling? Jenny said he's distraught. He's in shock. Mm-hmm. He's in disbelief. Yeah.
Well,
you turned down $84 million to get $5.9?
Yeah, Jenny didn't say it, but somebody did.
No, what I'm
Right,
saying is the source. The source
close
to him said he.
I think it's a Boston source said he's still in shock. Okay, yeah.
Man, look, Sharpe, Skip, $84 million to get 1 year $5.9?
It's an epic fail. Epic. It's one of the worst ever.
Yeah, New Orleans know it. Sprewell might have the worst because they offered Sprewell 3 years for $21 million. He said, I can't feed my family. And he never got another contract, never played another down.
No. And obviously Schröder now has an opportunity. He's 27. He's about to turn 28.
Right.
But he'll play next year at 28. If he has a good to very good year, then could he go back on the market and recoup some of it? Maybe.
Skip, he could have had, guess what? Think about it, Skip. You could have had $84 million, 28, 29, 30, 31. So you got $84 million in the bank. You can bag that. Now, whatever comes after that, Skip, you don't recoup. You can't recoup money that's lost.
Yep.
You can't.
I still say the biggest taint on him right now, the biggest tarnish on his reputation is failed with LeBron James. It's big. It's the league saying, man, if you can't make it with that guy or he can't make it work with you, something is wrong with you.
Caruso got $9 million.
Mm-hmm. But he made it work with LeBron. Was he not vibing with LeBron?
Hey,
closing games?
Skip, that's what you do, Skip.
Yeah.
You go, I could have I ain't playing with no John Elway. I'm better than John Elway. I'm equal to John Elway. Man, let me go on out here and catch these passes. Okay, John, it's fine. You get the big slice of the pie, but this nice little crumbs I'm getting, they're going to add up. Mm-hmm. That's all you got to do. Just play your role. Out of this hero ball and keeping it real, and I believe in me, and I'm betting on myself. Okay.
Right. Well, now we see if Russ can make it work with LeBron. So now he is in the crosshairs.
Russ said, even if it don't work, I got $45 million.
Yeah, he's banked enough. He's just fine.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's what I don't get. And you can't have Skip. It's like I feel bad for him. Skip, he turned that down. It's not like, Skip, sometimes they pull the offer.
No, I know. I got it.
He turned it down. He walked away from that.
Yeah. Well, that's what he thought of himself.
Okay.
And he overvalued
Now,
himself.
what do you think of him?
I still respect him as a player, but...
Most people think he's a D-fool.
Yeah. No, I got it, but I still thought he'd be worth more than 5.9 to somebody somewhere just because he plays defense at the highest level.
Man, they ain't paying no money for that.
They are. For a two-way, yeah, they are.
No. Yeah, if you're a two-way player, ain't gonna give me 20 and play defense. If you Kawhi Leonard, you Paul George, yeah, they pay for that.
Okay, but he did average 19 a game in Oklahoma City, so...
And that, Skip, that's why you take the 4 for 81. Mm-hmm. That's your highest. It's as high as you're going to get right here, Skip. That's your high.
Okay, but you're never going to forgive him because he failed you, too.
Skip, I don't care. That's Boston.
Okay,
Boston can do that.
But you got down on him at the end of the year because he couldn't live up to what you needed him to be.
I got down on him, Skip, because I saw early on he wasn't about the team. He was about trying to play for a contract. Mm-hmm. And I thought he was doing things that wasn't beneficial for the team to win.
Sometimes you can be about the contract and winning because it contributes to winning.
No, right? he's like, if I go ahead and get these 20 points a game, somebody going to give me my $100 million. And that was at the detriment of the team. But hey, onwards and upwards for the Lakers. Boston, y'all handle that now. That's y'all.
Oh, I don't know. The fact that it's out there that he's upset, too,
I'll be upset.
Yeah, but you don't want that out in the news.
Well, but Jenny, what you think it is? That man turned down $84 million. 80 for 5.9. That's selling your money.
I know, but still, it's just setting you up for failure. I feel for him.
He did that.
I feel for him right now. I do.
No mercy.
Well, tomorrow night, we have one of the most anticipated regular season baseball games ever. Here's a look at the cornfields of Iowa, where the Yankees and White Sox will play. It's the site of one of the best baseball movies ever, Field of Dreams. I cannot wait to watch this. My dad and I watched this growing up. It was always one of our favorites. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it, and wish I could be in Minnesota watching with my dad for this one. The MLB Field of Dreams game tomorrow at 6 Eastern on Fox. Well, during his introductory press conference yesterday, Russell Westbrook said he understands his new role playing alongside LeBron and the Lakers. Russ said he knows his job is to make LeBron's game easier for him, adding, quote, LeBron is one of the best players to play the game, and his ability to do everything on the floor allows me to just figure it out. There's many different ways you can impact the game without having the ball in your hands. Fox Sports NBA analyst Broussard He's joining us now. Chris, did Westbrook convince you this will work?
Well, Jen, let me start here. I don't doubt, nor have I ever doubted for 1 minute since the trade was announced, that Westbrook would have the right attitude and that he would try to fit in and that he would be willing to defer to LeBron and AD. He was willing to defer to James Harden. He tried to make it work. He got off the ball. He did what they asked him to do. So Russ is going to come in and try to do the right thing. You saw how happy he was. I mean, he was excited. I haven't seen Russ like that often. He's clearly glad to be playing for the Lakers, the team he grew up rooting for. I get all that. The question is, can he adjust? He's been playing this way for 13 years in the NBA. Okay, it's almost like if Deontay Wilder decides, you know what? The way for me to beat Tyson Fury now is I got to outbox him. Oh, he can mean that from the bottom of his heart. He can mean that to his very core that he's going to turn into a boxer. But he won't be able to because it's not who he is. And at this stage of his career, certainly not who it is. That's the question with Westbrook. And then as I watched the press conference yesterday, I saw clearly the Lakers have not thought this out and come up with the game plan. All right, and comments from Frank Vogel, comments from Westbrook, they don't know. And we heard about how LeBron and AD and Westbrook met at LeBron's house 3-4 weeks ago to hash everything out. I mean, that sounded like that was a quick conversation. All right, I'm sure they talked about, look, we just want to win. We all got to look, I'm willing to sacrifice, man. I just want to ring LeBron. I'm from LA. You know, I just want to win for the Lakers. And LeBron just wants to win. I mean, I'm sure it was all that. And LeBron's probably like, yo, I'll play the 4. AD, I'll play the 5. Cool, let's go do it. All right, without really thinking it out. And you know what? At this point, that's okay. Because they have the whole season and preseason and training camp and everything to see how it works. They took the approach, let's just go get the championship level talent, and then we'll figure it out. And that's a legitimate school of approach that some school of thought that some people in the NBA take. Just give me the talent. We'll figure the rest out, because that is better than not having the talent if you just don't have a team that's good enough. And so that's where the Lakers are. As far as the fit, you guys know I said I think LeBron should be the point guard. He should play like Magic Johnson. Make sure the other 2 stars and everybody else gets their points. LeBron will be able to get his. In reality, I think kind of like it's been LeBron's whole career pretty much, he and Westbrook will share the ball handling duties just like he did with Wade and Kyrie and even last year to some degree with Schröder. When LeBron's off the ball, when Russ has it, LeBron will be at that elbow where he can make plays from, or I'd like to see him in the post. I like him. If he wants to go down there, I'm all with that. So I think that's how to be. And then at the end of games, LeBron will have the ball. He'll be the decision maker. And that's where it's going to be tough. Because we all know they're going to all but hold up signs to Westbrook and say, shoot the 3. They're going to be standing in the paint, daring him to shoot. And it's not only going to clog up the paint for him, but also for LeBron and AD to get in there. So they're going to have to work through that. Look, they got the talent. I think it can work. I have them as favorites in the West, but this won't be anywhere near as seamless a fit as Brooklyn was, even if they're all have the right attitude, which I believe they do.
I agree. That was my thing, Chris, is that like it's kind of like a first date. When you meet the in-laws for the very first time, you go to somebody's house like, oh, it's so nice to meet you, and I love your daughter, I love your son. Once we met, and he told me so much. Everybody's on their best behavior. At press conferences, everybody always says the right thing. I can see myself being here. I want to finish my career here. Skip, remember they had that fan day, and Kyrie says, if you would have me back, I would love to sign with the Celtics. He signed with the Celtics. Yep. And a year later, Kyrie was in Brooklyn. So I don't, and I agree again, Chris, with you. Russ wanting to play for his hometown team. It's not very often your hometown team is a cornerstone franchise of the NBA. They've won 17 titles. You remember 99, 2000, 2001, when he's probably 11, 12 years of age, they're winning titles. Man, if I'm fortunate enough and I can play in the NBA and play for my team, ooh, that would be something special. My mom, my homeboys, my family and friends could come see me play. That would be great. But Chris, we talk about Russ has never been anything but 1A. Forget number 2, but he deferred to James Harden. That puts him at 2. You talk about moving him all the way down to 3. LeBron AD or AD LeBron, not Russ. And like you said, he's played this way for so long. It's hard to ask someone when you've done something for so long. You take any group of people, if they prepared a meal a certain way, it's hard to break them out of that. My grandmother cooked a certain way. My great-grandma cooked those wood stoves. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. It was hard to get her to cook on a conventional stove because she had cooked her whole life on that wood stove.
Yep.
Russ has played like this, Skip, his whole NBA career.
He has.
And now you're asking him at 31 or 32, okay, bro, maybe we need you to catch and shoot. He's not a great catch-and-shoot guy. He's a guy that needs the ball, tries to get to a point. He can shoot the mid-range, kiss the ball off the glass. That's what he likes to do. He likes to get downhill. Now you want him to temper that back? It's not a great fit. But if anybody can put this 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle together in a matter of time, GOAT James can do it.
He is not GOAT James, but I do agree with your premise. If anybody can figure this out, he might be able to. But what I can't figure out is that I listen to my friend Chris and then my man Shannon, and you go on expressing grave doubts about Russell Westbrook's ability to fit. And then the next breath you're saying, but it'll be okay because they're going to be better than they were last year. They can't be better than they were last year.
They'll Skip. At the end of the day, this comes down to a championship. Do I believe they'll have a better record? Yes, because I believe both guys will stay healthy, AD and LeBron. But at the end of the day, if they're not celebrating like they did in 2020, what does it matter?
None. It doesn't, especially at this age of LeBron's career.
It's a championship or nothing.
He's going to year 19?
Yeah, we got plenty more. We got about 2-3 more.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You're going to be Brady-esque?
We played at the bare minimum. Oh, I tell you what. Once we get past Kareem, we'll start real bad.
Yeah. So Chris used the word adjusting, that can Russ adjust? I just don't think that word is either in his vocabulary or in his genetics. He's not an adjuster by nature.
Right.
LeBron is an adjuster.
Yeah.
I think LeBron is going to have to figure out how to adjust to Russ more than the other way around.
For the first time, yes.
And yet, every quote, Chris, I told Shannon earlier in the show, every quote I heard yesterday was SMH for me in all caps, like shake my head over that one and that one and that one, the one from Vogel, the one from Pelinka, until I said, this is the biggest bunch of phony baloney. To your point, it's like the first date or the first night meeting the parents. It's just like they're saying all the right things, but you can just tell Russ was as happy as I've ever seen him. I'm with Chris on this because he is home.
He's home.
He loves this team. He lived for this team. He was very connected to Kobe Bryant in ways LeBron never was connected to Kobe, because Kobe blessed Russ by saying, you have Mamba mentality. That's the ultimate blessing from your ultimate hero, Kobe Bryant. And now Russ gets to put on purple and gold and step into Staples Center as a Laker. He will step on the floor like, this is my team in my town, in ways that LeBron can't even relate to, because it's not his team in his town, right?
It's his team.
Well, it is. He's made it that, but I'm talking about deep down in your soul.
Well, Russ is Southern Cal. He was born here, born and raised here.
Okay, so that's what you're going to be up against. And then I had Frank Vogel. I heard him yesterday say something. The first person I thought of was Chris Broussard, because Chris is always down on Russ about playing the right way, making the right play. And Vogel had the audacity to say at the press conference, what I love about our group, about Bron and AD and Russ, is they're all about making the right play. Two of them are. Two of them really are. They're at the top of the list of making the right play. But there's one guy who completely disqualifies your list. And he's a guy who has led this league in turnovers 4 times and 4 other times finished second in the league in turnovers. Those happened 8 seasons in the last 11. And he, as Chris always says, at the end of the game, you can't really trust Russ to make the right play. He's going to make the Russ play, right? He's going to put his head down and drive it, or he's just going to pull up and jack up some three where you say, what are you doing? Because it's not who he is. It's not what he has been. And it's hard to teach old dog new tricks after we're going to year 14 for Russell Westbrook. And he said, well, the great thing about LeBron, he's one of the best to ever play. So he does so many things well. I'll just figure out how to move in and out of what LeBron. No, you won't. You'll do what Russ always does. You need the ball 3 times. 3 times you've led this league in usage rate, and 4 more times you finish second in how much you have the ball in your hands. Usage rate. Right. It's a terrible fit. But Russ is a great player. And they're all saying, well, he's such a great player because he's such a great solo act. He is a no-doubt slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer because all he's done is average triple-doubles for the last 5 years. And that matters what to LeBron James right now? It matters 0, which is the number that Russ wears, right? It matters 0 because it will not help you win a championship. Can he give up triple-doubles forever and ever?
Well, I think you don't have to, Skip. Because I don't think AD. There's no way. Yeah, I don't think AD and LeBron don't chase rebound, but I don't think Dwight Howard and AD gonna be pulling their hands back so he can get rebounded. I don't believe he'll be on the free throw line.
That is true.
Because if Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis or LeBron is in the game, they're going to be on the free throw line. But like I said, this is up to LeBron. Because here's the thing, Chris. It was reported that the higher-ups in the Lakers organization wanted Buddy Hield. And they had a deal in place to get Buddy Hield. It was AD and LeBron that wanted Russ. So if this does not work, Rob like, hey, bro, y'all looking at me? What y'all looking at me for? Because I thought I had a better fit. I believe Buddy Hield would be a better fit. He's a spacer. He's a catch-and-shoot three-point guy.
Completely agree.
Who can also put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. But I believe he would have been better. Now, he's not the player Russ is.
No. I already told you, Dennis Schroder would actually be a better fit than Russ. But is Schroder even in the ballpark of what Russ is? No. So the Lakers are just saying on sheer star power, we got Russell Westbrook and LeBron and AD.
Well, the Nets figured it out. We're going to figure it out, Chris.
Yeah. The Nets have the best player on the planet.
And like you guys, I'm sure. Yeah, I've been trying to wrap my head around what LeBron is seeing, right? Like how because we all know, I mean, we just said how smart of a player he is. And I think back to this. If you look at when LeBron's won his championships, he's always had a dog next to him, right? He had D-Wade in Miami. He had Kyrie in Cleveland. And even though he wasn't a star anymore and he was older, Rondo. Rajon Rondo's a dog, right?
Huge. Yep.
And AD is great, but we know AD's not a dog like that. And I think LeBron looked at it and said, Russ is a dog.
He is.
That I know this dude, this is a soldier that I can go to battle with. And I think that had a lot to play with this. Because LeBron has to know about the spacing and about Hield being the fit. And I think he said, look, I'm going to look in here and we can make it work. Like I said, I think they said, let's get the talent, let's get the dog, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Jigsaw puzzle, 1,000 piece. Throw it on the table.
No mercy.
Free agent Dennis Schroder might be realizing that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. After declining an $84 million extension from the Lakers in March, Schroder has agreed to play for the Celtics for the $5.9 million mid-level exception. The Boston Herald reports that Schroder is, quote, in a state of shock. Yeah, I would be too. Chris Broussard still with us. Chris, how do you explain that he turned down 4 years for $84 million and ended up with a 1 year for $5.9 million?
It's just a straight-up miscalculation. Yeah. I think it's as simple as that. I don't know what Skip's going to say, is that his personalities with people in the locker room, I don't know. But to me, this was a straight-up misreading of the market. And his advisors and all, I mean, shame on them because when you look, I get it. He's a good player. We all know that. Last 5 years, he's about 16 points, 6 assists, 5 or 6 assists a game. He's a solid starter and a very good backup. All right, so he's a really good player. But if you look at the market and what guys signed for, it's comparable to what the Lakers offered. 4 years, $84 million. He thought he was worth $100 million. But Spencer Dinwiddie, comparable, right? 3 years, $62 million. That's about the same thing. Lonzo 4 years, 85. Lonzo's younger. He might be better eventually, but, comparable players and numbers. Evan Fournier, 4 years, $78 million. Even DeMar DeRozan, who's better than him, got $85 million. Will Barton, 2 years, $32 million. Here's the one, to me, guys, that really shows you what the market was like. Reggie Jackson, 2 years, $22 million with the Clippers. I didn't think the Clippers would be able to bring him back knowing they could only offer $10 million in the first year of a deal. So I thought he'd get more money than that. So it shows you that the market was nowhere near what Dennis Schroder thought it was. Now, look, I get why he signed a 1-year deal with the Celtics, right? He wants to play well, get out there next season, back on the market next summer, and make up his money. He's going in as the backup. He started with LeBron and AD. There's no way he's going to be happy being the backup to Marcus Smart on a lesser team. I'm sure he thinks he's better than Marcus Smart. And in a lot of ways he is, and in other ways he isn't. But he's probably going to go out there and really want to show some stuff this year. And that could be a problem with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So this is bad because he probably never make up that money. I think he'd have to get a max deal next summer for himself psychologically to get past what he just lost. And we know he's not going to get a max deal. So this is a rough one for him.
And you left out Mike Conley, because I think Mike Conley re-signed with Utah 3 years, $72 million, yep, which is $24 million. It's $24 million a year if my math serves me correct. Okay. 24 is 48 plus another 24 is 72. That's what the market, Skip. That's the market. But guess what? Once all those guys got signed, the Kyle Lowry, the Chris Paul, Lonzo, Mike Conley, Dinwiddie, Reggie Jackson, D. Rose, Patty Mills, ain't got no money. It's like back to school. Skip, I can go get a backpack a lot cheaper in October than I can the last week of July, the first week of August.
That's a fact.
So what, bro, you had the money in your hands. And you was like, nah, I'm good. You talking about fumbling the bag, Chris? That's a suitcase. I think we've all traveled enough in our life, Skip. You was a columnist, and you traveled a lot. So I'm sure you've had bags lost. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't by your own doing. They lost your bags. Yep. I'm not finna lose this bag. He lost the bag. He lost the whole plane, Chris. $84 million for 5.9. I can see why he was distraught. I see why he's in a state of disbelief. Right. But you know what, Chris? I'm firing my agent. I got to. Either I fire my agent or I fire myself. And I can't fire myself, so the agent got to go. Because you remember New Orleans Noel, Skip, before I turn over you. Yep. In 2017, the Mavericks offered 4 years, $70 million. He ended up getting a qualifying offer, 1 year, $4 million. Bro, you can't make that kind of mistake. You can't pocket watch and say, I'm better than that guy. You don't know what they think of you. If the team you're with, man, I'm here at Fox. Why am I worried about what CNN or somebody else? Man, they go, no, okay, I'm good right here. I'm good with my own dog Skip. I ain't going nowhere. Y'all crazy.
So, the first mistake that Dennis Schroder made was the day he walked in the door with the Lakers. He decided, I'm a starter, and I'm my own man, and I am not going to defer to LeBron James. I'm not going to kiss his feet. I'm not going to genuflect. I'm not going to pay homage. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. And he's a pretty good me. But you have to show LeBron some respect. And I think he showed him little to none to start with. Like, I'm my own man. I'm going to be a starter for the first time. And he was.
I've done that backup thing.
Yes, I've done that backup thing. And I thought in stretches he played very well.
Mm-hmm.
And defensively, he never gets enough credit because he is one of the better perimeter defenders in the league.
They call him Dennis the Menace.
Dennis the Menace. LeBron, I think, nicknamed him that, right? He finished 29th in the league in defensive win shares, which is very good. If you're top 30 in the league, and to me, there were nights when he was dominating on defense because he's got Patrick Beverly in him, but he's quicker than Pat Beverly, right? And on offense, he can be lightning quick, like maybe as quick as anybody in the league. So that's what he's got going for him. At what do you give him? Is he
six foot tall,
6 feet, 6'1", maybe? Okay.
6 feet, 6
maybe just 6 feet. So the point was, when you don't pay respect to LeBron, all of a sudden there starts to be a little bit of friction between the two of you. Now you're on your own, right? He's not going to fight for you. He's not going to defend you. But they say, well, we still love you, and we're going to offer you this much money. And he's saying, no, I'm going to bet on myself, because he's thinking they got a chance to go back-to-back and go win another championship, right?
Right.
You told me if LeBron and AD stay completely 100% healthy, you believe that team would have won the championship. Well, that's called betting on yourself, because even if you go along for the proverbial ride on the championship, would that not have made his star power, his value much higher on the open market?
Probably.
But instead, look, LeBron obviously is still the face of this league. If you fail with LeBron James, for whatever reason, if you are the reason, a lot of people thought he was the reason this team didn't make it despite the injuries, then the league is going to shun you. The league's going to say, hey, if you can't work with that guy, you can't work with us.
Skip, name the guy that LeBron didn't get paid. Matthew Dellavedova got 4 years, $32 million. Mozgov got $16 million a year.
But
JR, Tristan, Sean.
But they were all seen as working with LeBron. Like they fit with LeBron, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Schröder was seen as not fitting in with LeBron, correct? And it just killed him on the open market.
Chris, what you said earlier, that going to Boston, realizing that he turned down $84 million and now he's playing for 5.9, trying to show. I felt that hurt him, because I felt that a large part of last season was about him trying to prove and get a contract. So he wasn't playing to try to win ball games. I'm going to try to get a contract. And if I win in the process of that, oh, be it. But I need to show that I'm a $100 million man. Bruh, trust me, if you blow $84 million, you'll blow $100 million. So I don't really know what you can do with $84 million that you can.
I agree. And I've from the day he entered, I've loved his swag.
Yeah.
Right. And then him being from Germany, you know, it's like, wow, this dude, Germany, and he got this kind of swag. I mean, I remember watching him in Summer League and liking that.
Yep.
But it's an imbalance. He wasn't able to balance it because he, like you said, Skip, he went to the Lakers with too much swag.
Yeah.
You can have your swag, but you have to understand LeBron is the man. And no matter how good you are, it's no shame to defer to LeBron James.
Thank you.
And so had he done that and fit in, he would have got his money, fit in, and been in a much better situation. And now, look, Tatum and Jalen don't want a point guard that's going to be out there necessarily getting 20 points a night. The offense is going to run through those two.
Hold on.
It's going to run through those two.
Kemba. They try to make it work with Kemba. Now, Kemba has some knee issues, but this is they're like, we going to hang our hat on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So if you think you're going to go in there and get 15, 16 shots a night and take from them, they're going to get you right on out of there.
Well, we'll see, because remember, he's still only 27 years of age, so he's going to bet on himself one small year at 5.9 so he can hit the market again. I still think he's a very good basketball player. So
you think he'll get a max contract?
A max?
A max contract, Nick.
No.
Not max.
No, but he might get what you would consider a bag.
Okay. Yeah, well, he's going to need to get, if he
honestly.
But if he plays like Reggie Jackson, if he played like Reggie Jackson in the playoffs, maybe we own to something, Chris. Maybe, because Reggie Jackson balled out. Reggie Jackson was on a vet min contract last year. He ended up getting $11 million a year. Well, if Dennis Schroder would have done that, Dennis Schroder was awful in the playoffs.
He was. I agree.
Right. He may have to take another short-term deal next year. Because, again, is he going to have the opportunity to show that much? I mean, he'll show something. But we know Boston even if he goes there, fits in, plays really well, how far are they going? There's 3 other teams we can all name that are probably better than Boston in the East. So at best, he's only helping a team get to the second round.
Yeah. Well, 3. Well, we know the Bucks and the Nets off the hand. Miami gonna be better than them.
They will.
Miami,
I agree.
Philly, if they figure it out, right?
With Knicks with Fourier now.
Yeah.
So
Atlanta.
Yeah. So it ain't like they sure fire Skip.
Nope.
But I just know that I know the Big West. Don't mess with the West.
No mercy.
Tomorrow, the Yankees and White Sox travel to Iowa and the site of the most beloved baseball movie of all time, the MLB Field of Dreams game presented by Geico. Coverage begins Thursday at 6 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Can't wait for this. And David Ortiz is putting his money on the line on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. So scan the QR code below. Enter the Field of Dreams contest for a chance to win $10,000 of Big Papa's money. Dak Prescott had one of the most notable storylines in last night's Hard Knocks. After Mike McCarthy dialed his workload back, it was clear how frustrated Dak was to not be practicing. And he said, quote, "I sat last year enough. I'll let y'all know if I'm bleeping sore or if something is bothering me, bleep. I've been out long enough." You feel the frustration in his voice. Shannon, what did you learn about Dak from last night's episode?
Well, Skip, I think the thing is that Dak is very motivated to get back out there. He got the big contract. You want to show why they gave you that money. And I think the thing is him missing last year. And anytime you come off an injury, the one time that I missed the bulk of the season, my last year in Denver, 99 Skip, I broke my collarbone. I missed the last 12 games of the season. I was a free agent. I go to Baltimore. I wanted to show the Ravens why you made me the highest paid tight end in football.
Yep.
So I was chomping at the bit to get there. And what do, Skip? Overdid it, pulled my hamstring.
How early?
In a mini camp. So I missed all the mini camps. So now I got to work. I got to find a way to nurse that. And because I know I'm saying, like, man, we done gave this guy all this money. I see why Denver didn't re-sign him. So all that's going through your head.
Did you make the first camp practice?
Oh, I was there. No, once a training camp, I was good to go.
Okay.
The best thing about it, this happened in April, Skip, and I was ready to go, but I had to nurse it back. But I know what they were thinking, Skip. They had just gave me a boatload. They had just given me the bag.
Yep.
And here I'm hurt already. Dak is saying, man, hey, I'm gonna tell you when. But Dak has to understand now, Skip, is that everything's on the pitch count. You remember when I was growing up, pitchers they worry about, well, he can only pitch 5 innings, and he can only do this. He got to miss a start. Guys threw 130 pitches, 140 pitches, and they pitched every 5th day. Now a guy pitched 70 pitches.
My childhood hero, Bob Gibson. It's just 9 innings. He's just going to complete game you, and he's going to do it in 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Guys used to throw double headers.
I know. I
get it now. But Skip, look, and maybe this is the way Dak is. But I played with Elway for 10 years, and I've been around, was around him a lot. I don't ever remember him complaining about reps. Now, maybe Dak's feeling like he needs to get a rhythm because he's been away and, train in camp is the best way to get that rhythm back. But like I said, I've been around, I'm only basically around, obviously I've been around a lot of other quarterbacks. I played 14 years and Elway wasn't the only quarterback that I had. But I don't know if I've ever heard a quarterback say I need more reps. And it looks like they were within reason because the chart said you're at the top end of where you should be at this point in time. And the next day, he got a lat injury. But I get, Skip, for the most part, I get what he's saying. When you're coming off an injury, they give you the bag. You want to show everybody why they gave you the bag. And you don't want to let your teammates down.
The bag is an understatement. My man Dak is going to make $75 million this year. Next quarterback on the list is Tom Brady at 27.5. 75.
Josh Allen passed him.
Well, that's true, but that's true.
But Dak,
I'm not sure Josh passes him this. Like Josh is going to kick in.
Yeah, I think Josh get 100.
Yeah. Okay, so the point is that you're right. He's coming off a career-threatening surgery to his ankle, and as he showed last night in the opening scene, that's what I'm saying. It took a second one to get it fixed, and it left a little wishbone scar because there are 2 scars.
Right.
So I hope that was a lucky wishbone for that ankle. So not only is he having to prove that he's got legs underneath him, but now he needs to prove he can still be Dak Prescott.
Correct.
Okay, so what I appreciated about the first episode, that he was mic'd, and he obviously knew he was mic'd, but he gave us some glimpses into the real Dak Prescott that I don't ever get in interviews. He's not open in interviews, and I'm fine with that because it's hard to be the quarterback of America's team. You got to be so careful with every word you utter.
Most of them speaking cliches, Skip.
It's all cliches. And for the most part, in interviews, he dodges reporters' questions as adroitly as he dodges pass rushers because he just doesn't give you a real straight, open-hearted answer on anything. But last night, especially in that opening salvo that we got, he was sitting down with Hard Knocks, and he was from the heart. He was just open-hearted about everything he'd gone through.
Right.
Scars. He loves scars. He's got scars all over his body because they're symbols of what he has sacrificed.
Well, Skip, he was a little sensitive last night because you remember Mike McCarthy was just joking with him, says, like, when you gonna get back out here? No. He's like, nobody wants to be out here more than me. He's like, bro, I'm just busting your chops. Okay. Skip, you know idea, but Dak didn't look at it like that. He's like,
he did not. So he knows he's mic'd up, and he's muttering under his breath, and this is aimed, obviously, at the head coach, where he's just saying, hey, I'm going to quote, I'm not coming out of this bleep. I sat last year enough. I don't know why they took me out of them reps for. I'll let y'all know when I'm sore or something's bothering me. Well, he's just saying, don't you? He's showing that he's the leader of the football team and that he can sort of govern his own reps, right? Like he's a star. He has arrived, and he is, and he got paid like a superstar quarterback. So the point was that in the end, the coach was actually, unfortunately, right.
He was ahead of the curve.
The metric was saying danger zone. You're just overthrowing. You're overworking, especially for somebody who hadn't been playing for a while, and boom. Next practice, I guess it was the very next practice. I think it was the first padded practice that he pulled something in his...
Right, as a matter of fact, it was the first padded practice, Skip, because he wasn't able to go. Because remember, that was the quiet before the storm, and everybody, they was talking about narrative, was like, well, and Dak Prescott is... not available.
And by the way, thankfully, this is not Hard Knocks, but we saw some video yesterday that he was actually sort of soft-tossing passes to Amari, who was without a helmet, but at least they were kind of just playing catch on some routes, but at least he was throwing half speed.
Well, actually, no, what was good, he was throwing a football, not a tennis ball or a ping pong ball.
I would agree.
But guess what? Guess who the vet player was that didn't ask for more reps? This guy.
There you go.
I'm good.
No mercy.
Just days before they clash for the Universal Championship, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, comes face-to-face with John Cena. Plus, how far will the mind games go with Seth Rollins and Edge? The summer of Cena continues. An all-new Friday Night SmackDown, live at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox.
Well, George Karl has used every opportunity to emphasize how frustrating it was to coach Carmelo Anthony, taking several jabs throughout the years. And this week was, well, no different when he responded to a tweet quoting Melo's championship aspirations, keeping him up at night, saying, quote, and it kept our coaching staff up at night a decade ago when we were stressing the importance of team play and defense. It's not going to stop here. Shannon, what did you make of the shots that George Karl took at Carmelo?
If it was unnecessary, George, let it go. I understand it didn't end, Carmelo forced his way out of Denver.
Yep.
And basically ended George Karl's career in Denver.
He did.
Because he was a superstar and he went to the Knicks. And maybe that rubbed George the wrong way. We know Carmelo was never the greatest defensive player. Didn't focus a whole lot on that side of the ball. But now is not the time. That happened so long ago, George, and you still harboring that. And now I see why Boogie Cousins keep, every time you mention somebody mentioned Boogie Cousins' name, he put their little emoji snake in there. Because you keep stuff going, bro. Let this go. Y'all grown. He's moved on. You've moved on. There was no need for you to interject into this. Where Carmelo is, he's at a different place in his life. And he says, you know what? I understand. It's hard to get a guy that's trying to make a name for himself, Skip, to see, because Carmelo is a bona fide scorer. And to try to get him to be something, to be an overall player, this is what I want to do. We'll focus on that. He was young. And now he realizes it takes more than just offense to win a championship. It takes sacrifice.
Yep.
And I'm not so sure that young guys understand the sacrifice that it takes to win a championship. But as they get older and the opportunities start to draw up, they start to understand these are some of the things I'm going to have to do. But Skip, I thought this was very unnecessary. What? Very unnecessary. He didn't need to do this.
Okay, so I know George Karl pretty well. Spent a lot of time around him in our days at ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
I knew him before ESPN when he was a head coach for many years. And as you know, he played for the team you grew up loving, North Carolina. He played for the great Dean Smith. So he learned to play basketball the right way, as Larry Brown did the right way, playing for Dean Smith.
Right.
So Carmelo drove him crazy because he saw so much in Carmelo that wasn't broad enough. Like he had so many other talents that he couldn't exploit because Carmelo focused on one thing and one thing only, and it was scoring the basketball, and he could score it.
Yes.
So he played 8 seasons in Denver. Were you there some of those years? Yeah, you were. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Carmelo averaged 25 points a game over 8 seasons. Pretty great.
Yeah, pretty good.
6 rebounds and only 3 assists. The first thing George told me about Carmelo that he said he often told Carmelo, you could average 10 assists a night if you so chose.
Right.
You would have to focus on that side of the offense.
He might not average 25 points in 10.
He might not, but knowing Carmelo, he would have a chance. Mm-hmm. The other thing was 6 rebounds a game. Not bad, but George said, with that body that you have and the natural strength you have, you could average 10 a game if you would focus on that part of that aspect of offense, right? Mm-hmm. And then you brought up the defense. It was just an afterthought to Carmelo. He just wasn't interested at all at that end of the floor, right? So that drove George and the coaching staff nuts. I agree with you. It's so long ago that it's still haunting George, but George was responding to Carmelo saying it's keeping him up at night that he doesn't have a ring. Right. Well, how close did they come? That one year, they got to Kobe's Lakers in the conference finals. And what happened in that year? And you might remember that team. That team had Kenyon and Chauncey.
They took a game from the Lakers.
Well, they went all the way to Game 6. You know, they got closed out in Game 6 at home. By the way, Denver had Dante Jones, and they had J.R. Smith and Birdman coming off the bench. So Nene is there. So it's a pretty good basketball team, right? So it's Game 6 is in Denver, and it becomes the closeout game because they got blown out at home. So what happened in that game? Carmelo scored 25 points, but he had 2 rebounds and 2 assists. I'm sure that just drove George crazy. And he shot 6 of 17 from the floor. He got to the free throw line, made 12 of 15. But Kobe scored 35 in that game with 6 rebounds and 10 assists and took the game over. From Carmelo in Carmelo's house. And they just romped and won and went on and wiped out Orlando in 5 games in the finals. When everybody thought it was going to be, obviously, LeBron versus Kobe in the finals.
But Skip, I mean, if you think about it, look, the Spurs. The Spurs was in their heyday. They wouldn't get past the Spurs. And then once they got Powell, they wasn't getting past the Lakers. But they make it seem like, well, if Carmelo would have done this, y'all wasn't getting past Tim Duncan.
I got it. There's truth to what George is saying about Carmelo, but it's old, too old truth, right?
We've all been around people. I played with guys, and I told them, do you realize how special you could be if you did this, this, and this?
Precisely.
They don't realize it. They get older and like, man, you know what? You were right.
And what does it help anyone to say that stuff about him now? Is
That's
he
a good
trying
one.
to continue?
No mercy.
The NFL announced several new changes yesterday, including new guidelines for officials to penalize taunting and strictly enforce taunting rules during games. This is reportedly because the league saw an increase in taunting last year. Shannon, how would this have impacted you while you were playing?
Skip, not much, but Skip, this is an emotional game.
Not much. You led the league in taunting.
I mean, I might have flexed in a few guys' face, but Skip, if I catch a pass and I get up and I start clapping, they gonna call me for taunting?
They're going to call you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Come on.
Well, if you sort of do it in the guy's face or stand over.
If I catch a pass and he get up and tackle me, I get up and start clapping, what you want me to do? You want me to turn my back to him so he can't see it? I want him to know I'm doing it. Skip, they're doing too much now.
Listen, I am totally with you. I don't mind it at all. No. And there's one way to stop taunting. Just make the play, right?
Intercept the ball, knock the ball down, keep him out the end zone. You ain't got to worry about it.
Right. It just doesn't bother me. It's part, again, it's more of the way kids are today. And it's part and parcel of the emotion of the game. I don't mind. I guess I don't want somebody just standing over taunting someone, but if you
I might catch a pass and fold my arms.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's taunting, Skip.
That's a flag, man.
Come on, Skip. They're going too too far. Now you know that.
You realize they threw only 10 taunting flags the whole year last year.
Oh, they just threw 10 on me in the season.
There you go. Finally, you admitted it.
They just threw 10 on me in the season. I was flexing on everybody.
Yep.
Okay, that is it for Undisputed. Let's keep the fun in the game. Skip, Shannon, see you tomorrow. Call and Joy, take it away with the herd. Have a good one, guys.
Undisputed.